Jeff.
There you
We are
Brent.
back. YouTube. Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time. Jeff and I are watching Babylon 5 for the first time. We have just watched this episode, The Illusion of Truth.
The Illusion.
I wrote
With an
everywhere Illusions of Truth.
Oh.
And it's not. It's The Illusion of Truth.
It is, but there might be multiple, maybe, but it's just the overall. It's a meta thing.
Yep. Jeff, before we get started, I have, you know how like occasionally we get comments of people like watching our backlog of videos and stuff?
They're fun.
Somebody made a comment earlier today on one of our much older videos, which got me thinking about some other stuff. And I've got something that I want to talk about in Club 65.
Okay, cool.
So for our Club 65 members, you know what to do to access Club 65. If you guys don't know what to do to access Club 65, I'm sorry I cannot tell you, because with Club 65, you either know and then you know, and if you don't, then you don't, and it's like Fight Club, and that's just the way it works. I'm so sorry, but you can figure it out, and if you figure it out, you're welcome into Club 65. But I want to, it's not a theory that I have. It's more of a question that might kind of rewrite some stuff. Like this is, you know, this is fan spinning is what this is. It's
we haven't
deal. We
haven't had our cork
boards.
Actually
do this now. Do I know?
Yeah, we haven't had our cork boards out for a long time. We've got new stacks of postcards to put up and all kinds of stuff.
So I got something, but it doesn't do anything for this episode. So I'm not going to talk about it while we record, but I do want to get into it in Club 65 later today. But with that, what you guys are about to hear is Jeff and I recording our podcast on this. You guys are watching the behind the scenes. So welcome to the lab. This is where we make the stuff. This is the kitchen where everything gets mixed in a bowl, poured in the waffle iron, and we have a nice, good breakfast.
Sounds good. We spent a lot of time talking about pizza the other day.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about breakfast.
There you go. I made my own waffles this morning, as I actually often, I make my own waffles from scratch. And by from scratch, I don't mean from flour. I mean from wheat kernel. And I grind my own wheat into flour. Yes, that is true. It's 100% what I do, and it's so good. Jeff, hit the button, man. We got to go. Let's talk.
You are valued, and you are needed.
You will be Emperor.
I think you're about to go where everyone has gone before.
The year is 2023. The name of the podcast, Babylon 5, for the first time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I am the one who was.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I am the one who will be.
And we are watching Babylon 5 for the first time for you, the one who is.
That's right. Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek podcasters watching Babylon 5 for the first time, searching for Star Trek-esque messages that are being done in a uniquely Babylon 5 way.
This is not a podcast about Star Trek, but those references are sure to find their ways into our conversation. So to keep us honest, we play the rule of 3. That means we get up to and no more than 3 references apiece to Star Trek per episode.
That's it. 3. 1, 2, 3. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
Hey, Brent.
Hey, Jeff.
We have a 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
This is from Apple Podcasts, and Joy P says, B5 for the first time? Yes, please. Babylon 5 is my all-time favorite show. If you've never seen it but have been curious about it, now is your chance to watch along with a pair of newbies and experience with them. If you're a fan of this show, this podcast gives you a chance to relive what it was like the first time around, with all of the ups and downs along the way. These guys don't shy away from calling a deuce, and like the show they're covering, there are some rough spots along the way.
Oh, good job, Joey. I love it. Good job, Joy. Call a
But
deuce a deuce. You are my kind of people. You really are.
But just like B5, it is well worth the time and investment to listen to the whole thing, especially on YouTube. These guys are funny, insightful, and very thoughtful in their discussions of each episode. And just like watching Babylon 5 back in the day, I just can't wait for the next episode every week.
Jeff, do you remember back when we were doing season 2 and things were not going so well for us in the middle part of season 2?
I do.
Now, for the record, when we got to the end of season 2, we said that season was a 50-50 split. Like half the episodes were really good and the other half were not. It wasn't all bad. But it wasn't amazing the whole way through. And there was a section that was really bad, and then there was a section that was really good, and some others were sprinkled in. And we and by we, I mean mostly me, because I do the reaction videos, so I think I would catch the brunt of this. Although you also got it sometimes as well. But people were like, you don't understand the show. The show has an arc, and you're just at this particular part of the arc, and you've got to wait, and you've got to whatever. And I remember having the thought then, and here we are now in season 4, where you and I have also gone on an arc. Babylon 5, the show, has gone on an arc. Jeff and Brent at Babylon 5 for the first time have had their own arc. And I love what Joy said. Joy said, you've got to watch through the end, whatever the exact phrase, but basically watch the whole journey, because that segment, that rough spot of season 2 is a part of the journey. Oh, by the way, remember in season 3, when every episode except for one was like pretty good.
Yeah, near perfect, like fantastic.
Right. And even that one episode, okay, no, it was horrible.
It had a fun moment in
it. Yeah, it did. But I you and I this show has had its own arc that I actually I've we didn't plan on it.
No.
There's no plan for how this goes, but I've loved it. Good job, Joy. I thank you and I appreciate your comment. It's amazing.
Well, we have another 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
This one's on Spotify.
Whoa.
Spotify doesn't let you leave a review, but Samson emailed us to fill in that gap.
They do. I think they let you do ratings,
yes,
not reviews on Spotify.
Correct. So yeah, Samson gave us the 5 stars or whatever you can on Spotify. Popped over to Babylon5first.com. It's the number 5 and the word first.com. Hit our contact form and sent the following. Just want to say I love your format. I really enjoy the depth of your commentaries and analyses, regardless of whether or not I agree with you. B5 reactions are relatively rare out there, but they seem to be increasing in number.
Right.
I'm an old guy and started my sci-fi life with the original series of Star Trek, moved on to UFO, the animated series, Space 1999, Star Wars, Battlestar, and some new Trek, and many, many others. And of all those, Babylon 5 is my favorite now. I missed season 1 completely, started at season 2. I didn't get a chance to see any season 1 until I tracked down some VHS multi-dub tapes around the time of season 4. Well, 5 stars for you, for sure.
Thank you so much. That is awesome, amazing, and very much appreciated. I love it.
I love hearing people's Babylon 5 origin stories, right?
Yeah.
Like how they got into it and everything.
Right.
It's always exciting.
Jeff, let me ask you this. I want you to prognosticate. Is that the right word? Prognosticate?
I don't even know what you're going to ask me to do. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
So think of your entire sci-fi fandom.
Okay.
Okay. You still have a ways to go here in Babylon 5, although not much ways to go. Where do you think Babylon 5 is going to land in your ranking? And do not say number 1 just because you're on the show right now. Where do you really think it's going to land?
I don't think it's going to be number 1.
Right.
I mean, I just, and I don't mean that in a negative way whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of our sci-fi loves, nostalgia plays a huge role. And I'm not going to have that nostalgia.
Sure.
I will, in 30, 40 years. And we got a ways for that. Well, depending on when you're watching or listening to this, maybe that is 30 or 40 years down the road. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Mhm.
What I want to say is it's definitely going to be top 5, but then when I start thinking about it, I'm like, okay, well, we've got Star Trek, we've got Star Wars, we've got Dune, I've got Battlestar Galactica, got Firefly. There's my 5, like just off the top of my head. That doesn't even pull in like V and some of the other things that like I love.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that's a tough question. I think off the top of my head,
Mhm.
I'm going to say it'll be in my top 8.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to say confidently.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. What do you think for you? Do you have
I
an idea?
think it's going to be top 5. Is it number
Really?
1? I don't know. I'd have to go back and actually like do the rankings and see where I really land, because it also depends on what you're ranking them on. Am I ranking it on intelligence? Am I just ranking it on pure go pop some popcorn, sit down and enjoy the ride? Is it depth of writing and production values? Like what exactly am I judging it on? And it could be different for each one in the ranking system. So
Mhm.
I'd really have to go back and do the work, but I do think it'll be a top 5 franchise for me. Like, I think if you take collectively all of Star Trek, collectively all of the Star Wars
Mhm.
stuff, Firefly was its own stuff. The Battlestar Galactica stuff is out there. Um, I mean, Babylon 5, like, I've really come to love this show a lot. Uh, and I liked your words on it could be nostalgia, and it's hard to have nostalgia your first time through.
Yeah.
Like, let me see it a second, a third, a fourth time before I go, actually, I really love that show, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like my nostalgia for this show comes from properties that came after it, right? Like
With
Mass
Effect and all
Effect.
that. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's where I feel nostalgia for Babylon 5, even though I haven't
Right.
seen it before.
right.
So
And don't forget, Stargate's going to be in there here real soon. And Stargate is definite. I mean, Stargate is top 3 for me, for sure. I would not be hard pressed to right now, if you pressed me on it, to go Star Trek as a franchise, Stargate as a franchise, and Babylon 5. That would not shock me if I
Yeah.
landed there. So I don't know that number 3 is B5 or not, but we'll find out. Anyway,
wow.
good stuff. Well, Jeff, along with that rule of 3 that we have, and along with ranking stuff, we love to rank stuff. We do that at the end of the show. We put this in a ranking. Another thing we do at the end of the show is we play this game where we like to guess what next week's episode is going to be about based on title alone. Never having seen the episode before, we don't watch ahead. We don't read descriptions. We don't look at thumbnails. We do everything we can to stay away from it. And this is the part of the show where we try to see what we said this week was going to be about and how close were we. So, Jeff, what did you say the illusion of truth was supposed to be, and how close were you?
I thought we were going to dive into Garibaldi's programming a little bit, and the illusion of truth was going to be some cognitive dissonance between like some pro Clark, pro Earth stuff, and then kind of just who Garibaldi is. We got another surface brush of like, oh, by the way, there's clearly something going on with Mr. Garibaldi here.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of that, so I'm going to give myself at best a 1/10 of a point on this one because, well, it had Garibaldi doing his programming in it.
Yes.
What about you?
Well, I full on nailed this one, but I'm going to leave the crown sitting in a case over there, and I'm not even going to pull it out and put it on my head. But I completely nailed it, because what I said what this was going to be was the propaganda machine that President Clark is running against Babylon 5 getting turned up, and that's literally what this episode was all about.
Well, for those of you that it's been a while since you've seen this one, or you haven't watched it all and you're listening to us anyway, that's cool. Thank you. That's a pretty cool thing for you to have done. Brent, why don't you tell us about the illusion of truth?
Well, hey, remember last week when President Clark banned all travel between Earth and Babylon 5? Well, apparently he made an exception for that news crew from ISN, which has just shown up on board. Ivanova wants to shove him out of an airlock, and Sheridan was actually cool with it as long as, she got his coat first, because resources are thin on Babylon 5. Anyway, the crew here The crew is here totally to do a hit piece on Babylon 5. The reporter actually tells Sheridan that to his face, because no journalist is truly unbiased, and after all, he has a job to do. But he also says he's interested in the truth, and he's going to do the story one way or another. And if Sheridan participates, at least he'll get to have some input versus not when the report comes out. And if he does choose to have some input, maybe they can find a way to sneak some good stuff in. Well, Sheridan likes that, and so he goes with that option. So he sends him off with Lanier to show him all around the station. And Lanier takes him all the way everywhere. And one of the funniest scenes in the elevator is one of the cameramen is flying her drone into Lanier's head, which prompts Lanier to turn around and headbutt the drone, which was awesome. Now, on the tour, Lanier takes them to down below. They meet Dr. Franklin, who's in the middle of doing medical stuff, maybe ushering somebody to his personal quarters. I'm not really sure. They take him up to CNC, where Londo is there complaining, and they even get a cozy sit-down interview with Delenn and John. Very Harry and Meghan style these days. And perhaps the coup de grace, they even get a bit with civilian Garibaldi, who was talking all sorts of trash about his former boss. Well, sometime later, it's time for the piece to air. Guess what? It is exactly what the guy said it was going to be. It is a hit piece. All the footage they got, they have edited in such a way as to present the story that they want to tell, not the story that actually is. They even go so far as to record new dialogue and new questions to insert over certain bits of dialogue to make it look like the crew was saying something that they weren't really saying at all. They also get coverage of the cryopods where the telepaths are being kept. So the basic premise of the entire piece, Sheridan is a veteran of the Earth-Minbari War, and he is suffering from Minbari War syndrome. Basically, he is feeling inferior to the Minbari, and he needs to bow down to all of the aliens, including the Minbari, and basically trying to become one himself because he's just not good enough, which is why he's trying to marry Delenn, who herself is a Minbari human hybrid. They're all also planning to amass a fleet that is certain to come attack Earth. And even if they don't do that, then they're going to intermarry everybody and they're going to destroy the entire human genome. Anyway, he concludes by saying it really is our fault back on Earth that Sheridan is out here doing this, because we just should have caught his symptoms sooner. He is to be pitied, and the implication is clear. This is all the justification that we need to be able to send our forces to Babylon 5 to preemptively attack them in an effort to save our guy. Well, this is at least the truth for the people back home who honestly couldn't possibly know any better. And it certainly is an illusion at best. And well, Jeff and I are going to have to debate later whether or not he slipped in anything good about Sheridan. Well, back on the station, everyone is in silent disbelief as they exit the scene one by one, and we go to credits. Jeff, where are you on this episode, The Illusion of Truth?
I don't think you can talk about this episode without talking about And Now for a Word.
Sure.
You know, here's the storytelling device. Let's use it this way.
Uh-huh.
I love the way they did this. You know, so that one was the broadcast, And Now for a Word was, you know, here's the show. This one, you got a little bit of a preamble, a little setup for everything, and then it was just the newscast. And I liked that. I liked that construction of the episode. I loved the build to the wordless ending.
Sure.
That happened. I thought that was a super ballsy way to end an episode. It was pretty powerful. But also,
can I ask you about that real quick?
Yeah.
Did it become cheesy when Sheridan came back in frame and held up his hand and like went bloop on his hand and did the remote thing?
Absolutely.
Like it was
also
super powerful there, and when the camera lingered, but then when he came back in, it just became like it cheesed it a little bit, right?
Quite a bit. In
Yeah.
fact, the whole having to get up in front of the screen and use your little bleeper instead of just like sitting at the chair and using your bleeper.
Doing it from the door that you just walked over to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just if he had just walked away and fade to black.
Yeah.
Like that would have been the thing.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting your opening thoughts. If I could compare that to anything, do you remember the movie Paranormal? Like the first one, they have like 18 of them out at this point.
Yes, yeah.
So that was a movie that it was a found footage type film, and it was really creepy. Like you didn't really know what was going on. And there's a part of me where like I was watching this going, wait, is this actually found footage or not? Because they tell you this is really found footage, blah, blah, blah. And it could be, or it could be Blair Witched and completely made up. And it was real creepy, right up to the very end. And spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you the very end of it. The demon, the ghost, whatever it was, comes crawling out of the closet and like flashes up into the camera and gives you like one last jump. At which point it made everything cartoonish at that point. Cause you're like, none of this was real. It was all fake. It was all like, it lost every bit of credibility it had up till that last 10 seconds. You know, and I kind of felt this way about how like it was that nice, good, slow exit. And then he comes back in and it didn't lose all credibility. I was just like, I think it was a fine ending. It would have been stronger. I think it would have left a stronger oomph if they would have just walked off and you just linger on the empty room.
And I can't help but wonder, we'll talk about this a little bit in a minute, but I wonder where that decision happened. Was that in the writing? Was it in the edit? Was it in the directing? Like where did that happen?
Yeah.
I actually have a note to dive into that a little bit. But to get to my thoughts, like who would have ever thought that we would want a Cynthia Torqueman reporting on Babylon 5?
Right?
She had more journalistic integrity than this guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because at the end she was like, well, maybe this is something. Dan just boom into it.
Yeah.
It was clear to me immediately this was going to be a hack job.
Sure.
This whole story was a story. And frankly, I'm embarrassed that Sheridan fell for it. I feel like he should have known better. I don't know. Some cool stuff though. I loved seeing Garibaldi doing his thing. Like this could be his jam. I can see a future, assuming that he doesn't die when they activate his program fully or whatever. I can see him never coming back, working security and doing this thing to the end.
Sure.
Like, and that, you know, maybe it part-times him, maybe it's something, I don't know. But like it was great seeing him do this stuff. In his office, right, is where he always was. When he resigned last time, what did he do? He went and got food, sat down at the Zocalo and ate. What's he doing now? Sitting at the Zocalo, eating and doing his business.
Having a business meeting. Yeah. Now he gets to write it off.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
We got a lot of Earth, an insight into Earth in this one that I thought was kind of cool. But literally, I think where I get, hung up on it a little bit is like we really needed a whole episode of pretty much just this one story. I mean, there was like storyline wise, there's no bloody A, no bloody B. There was one story through this whole thing, and I feel like it didn't need to be just the one story in this episode. What did you think of this one?
Well, you started your conversation by saying you cannot talk about this without referencing it now for a word. I got rolled for saying and now for a word was a clip show without being a clip show.
You did.
I maintain that it was a clip show without being a clip show. It served a function at a very specific spot in the story and at a very specific spot in the season. This one does not serve that same function. It does not do the exact same thing. And I will tell you, this was not a clip show without being a clip show. I will also tell you, and Jeff, I'm gonna bump up against a little bit of what you said here. In Now for a Word, everybody was like, no, it did more than just be a clip show. It showed us what people's attitudes were like back on Earth. It really didn't. It showed us a news footage and questions that they were asking. This episode 100% showed us what people's attitudes were like back on Earth, or at least how people's attitudes back on Earth are getting framed. Like last week, I'm going to have to reserve judgment on this episode. And it's going to sound like I'm judging this episode, and I'm not, because I'm reserving judgment until I see how this story arc is playing out. Because I feel like I'm taking the bad way out. This feels very hyper serialized in so many ways that it's hard to just judge this episode based on its own merit.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fine episode. I would not change the channel if this episode came on TV. I thought it was interesting. I thought the first half of this episode, right up till we got into the news piece, was hilarious.
Yeah.
In fact, my words were, and now for a word was a clip show without being a clip show. This is a comedy without being a comedy. It was so funny all the way through, right up till you got to the newscast. I thought the artistic way that JMS wrote this episode to actually, I mean, that is ballsy to take 15, 20 minutes, half your episode, and do a full 60-minute type news brief on what's going on.
With like cliffhanger calls to commercial and everything.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah.
Commercial breaks for the newscast into the way you wrote your show.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, well, when we come back on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about this thing over here. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was so interesting. You asked this question just a second ago, Jeff, did they really need a whole episode to show all of this? Did they need the episode? No. Am I glad that they put it in because I'm going to assume this is 15 episodes to tell this story. Yeah, I think this is a really important chapter and how this is going to shape what's happening back on Earth, how they're going to justify whatever it is that they're about to do. And it's going to shape people's opinions of what's going on with Sheridan.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sheridan a character to be pitied? Or is he a renegade that should be destroyed? Is he a traitor? You know, is he really under some influence that we need, like some cult-like influence that we need to go rescue him from? Or does he deserve the death penalty because of what he's done? What's the case? And this is the episode that shows where all of that comes from and how that can work. So yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I had another question though. I was really wondering, while they were doing the filming of the piece and they were walking around, remember how the camera started like stopping and it would take still photos of individual pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking at that particular moment though, and I don't think this is what it was in the end, they were doing recon work. Like they were there under the guise of doing a news thing, but they were actually doing recon work. Like these guys were not going to be news people. These guys were going to be like the military folk coming in, trying to see what's going on in Babylon 5, who's there, what their strengths and defenses are, and all that sort of stuff. That's really where I thought this was going. But it didn't. So that's where I am on this episode right now anyway.
I feel like last week I liked how you talked about last week's episode where it just kind of took all the pieces, kind of put some of them in different places, but just, you know, we filled the board essentially last week. And I feel like this week we've got the bricks. The bricks are all laid out. This is the grout. Like this is mixing that grout that we're going to need to put those bricks in place and have them actually start building whatever it is we're building. Because this gave us, I think the important function this episode served was filling in the blanks. What's been going on Earth this whole time? You know, we know that they attacked Mars and Proxima 3 and Babylon 5 declared its independence. We know these things, and then nothing. We shifted full gear into the Shadow and Vorlon stuff.
Yeah.
So this kind of filled in a lot of those blanks and did so in a powerful way. I think it was done powerfully. It was horrifying, the things that are going on there. And the fact that like when the actor guy who had clearly been tortured and was giving his forced confession.
Yep.
Like they just put that on the newscast because people are used to seeing it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah, of course he's clearly giving an honest confession. Why wouldn't he be? We've been conditioned by the media to believe this. So I think it did a lot to really fill in those Earth blanks and show us like this is the new enemy. This isn't the Earth before the Battle of Coriolis 6. This is a new Earth we're dealing with.
But in the middle of this, Jeff, I can't help but think about the ordinary, everyday, average citizen back on Earth. How do they know anything about Babylon 5? They don't.
That's all. Well, if they know anything, it's from ISN.
This is
anything they know.
This is the only way that they can know anything about, which feels like it shouldn't be. Like someone's writing a blog on Babylon 5 that people can go access, that it's been shut down by the government or something like that. And people are like, information has a tendency to get out. But for everything we can tell, this is the only way people know what's going on.
Well, we talked about that in And the Rock Cried.
Yeah.
Because they brought those data crystals. All those religious people brought the data crystals. And we're like, they brought like baseball scores and stuff. Like, what's the big deal? That's the big deal. They're shutting everything down.
Yeah.
What's interesting though is how much they're like, oh, the Minbari are still terrible, right? And they're awful and all this stuff. But we learned back in, I think it was the Shadow of Zahadum, where Delenn was talking about Minbari and how they have the press, like how the Grey Council tells us what we need when we need to know it, and that's how we get our stuff. There's no freedom of press. Well, here's Earth telling us how horrible the Minbari are, completely following their model of governance when it comes to spreading information.
Sure. But the people back on Earth aren't going to know that.
No.
I mean, unless they really can wake up and be like, hey, this is not okay.
I don't know if you've been watching this show or not, Brent. It's Babylon 5. Yeah, people don't wake up in this show and see things. Yeah,
right.
It's kind of,
Right. Although, we've been back to Earth, like in people's offices. Like we've never really been back to Earth.
No.
At all.
No.
Yeah.
We've been in the Geneva, we've been in Geneva for the ISN News Center.
Yeah.
We've been to San Diego.
Okay.
We've been in senators' offices.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Yeah. So as far as being back, real early in the episode, I was so thankful. Do you remember that it was the second episode of season 2 when it was the whole episode of Sheridan pining for his dead wife?
Revelations.
So it was just
nope, not Revelations.
Yeah, it was Revelations.
It was Revelations.
Yeah, it was Revelations. And it just went on and on and on. It was like, okay, I got it. He's missing his dead wife. I got it. Real early in this episode, look, I haven't heard from my parents in a while, and I'm really worried. Later, we got the family is missing. The family farm has been burned. This is where we are. And we moved on. Like that is how I wanted them to handle the Anna thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is it. I'm really worried. I'm so sad that she died and passed away. Hey, I got this thing. Cool. Like that's all that we really needed from that. And instead we got, 28 minutes of Sheridan
talking
to
his
his
sister.
Like,
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
And I might be jumping way ahead. So, in the news report, Dan Randall cuts Babylon 5 to pieces, shreds it, shreds Sheridan, shreds Delenn, just does this total Freddy Krueger job on everything. Then he says, and his parents, who, he gives that information. His parents are missing. The farm's been burned, blah, blah, blah. I just had this thought. I had my own epiphany from last week. Did he have to do the hack job? Like when he was talking to Sheridan and he's like, look, I'm going to get in what I can get in and try and, pass as much of the truth as I'm able to, but we're being told we have to do these things. Was that the truth that he slipped in? That was either a threat to Sheridan, right? Or it was his way of being like, I am giving you news that you can't get otherwise.
Yeah. And that's why I said in my recap, I was like, Jeff, we're actually gonna have to debate whether or not he really did it. Cause I think it's really easy to look at the report and be like, dude, he used Sheridan. He did not do what he was trying to say. He told Sheridan, this is going to be a hit piece. This has to be. That's why so many of our people resigned when they came back and took over. But some of us are more interested in the truth, and we'll get it in wherever we can.
And I think that might have been I didn't, in my recap, I'm like, dude, this was obviously a hack job. Sheridan, how could you have seen this?
Yeah.
How could you have not seen this? But that one little nugget might have been the littlest bit of truth that he could have got. Wow.
The other one that I see too is developing sympathy for Sheridan. And saying, hey, listen, this really should have been us. We should have seen this a long time ago. He isn't the idea of seeding the idea. He's not the enemy.
Yeah, but I also think that's more of, if you play the end game out, which I'm curious, and I want to talk about what the end game is. But when part of it is getting Sheridan arrested and bringing him back. Now, if Sheridan's a hero of some kind, and they bring him in and they want to send him to one of those camps that, the director dude was at, that's going to get public sympathy. No, you can't. He's a hero. But if you start seeding that, no, he has this disease, it's wrong. We're helping him.
Yeah.
We pity him.
Yeah.
We need to bring him back and make him whole again.
Yeah.
Then they'll put him in those horrible camps and people will cheer and they'll be so thankful for the benevolence of the Earth government. And I don't think he's trying to drum up sympathy for him. I think he's paving the road.
That was my note down here, is he told Sheridan, he got information back to Sheridan about what happened to his family. And the rest of it was he had to do his job and do what he needed to do. Like, certainly I think the response at the end of the episode where everybody was just sort of hanging out and being real quiet, that was a very somber moment. That was a very, it felt like betrayal. Like they were feeling betrayal. But maybe that's what it was when Sheridan came back in and did the little boop, was him recognizing what it was and saying, I got it. I'm good. Instead of like, oh my gosh, we've just been betrayed. Could you believe all of that? Like, maybe, Jeff, this is a question I want to have for JMS. Did he do that on purpose? Is that what that meant? Because if it did, if that was Sheridan being like, no, actually he kept his word and did what we needed to do. And like, they're solid with each other.
Right.
We
see Dan Randall again.
That's cool, man. I dig that.
Well, that's where I kind of wanted to ask, like, do we think that was written in? Do we think that was that because of just the feeling of it? But also, did you happen to see who directed this episode?
I did not.
Okay, get ready.
Yeah.
Stephen Furst.
I did see that. Yeah. I forgot that it was this episode. Yeah.
Veer did it. So I did a little bit of research. I felt safe going to his IMDb on this. So he helped write and starred in some straight to video movies called The Magic Kid. And that's the first time that he directed. There was the Magic Kid Part 2. The next time he directed was this. So this was JMS being like, yeah, go for it. We can build you up or whatever. And so my initial thought before having this conversation was, oh man, first made a call, did this thing as a director, had him come back and do it. And I feel like it landed flat, but I love how you reframed it into him,
Jeff,
acknowledging Dan.
If we can just, for the folks at home and people out there listening, sometimes you and I approach an episode coming into a recording feeling one way, and through the course of our conversation, we come out on a different side. That's what just happened.
Yeah.
Because now that's what I think is going on with this episode. So can I talk about some other cool stuff from this episode?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. That Starfury model that Sheridan was playing with at the very beginning.
Yeah.
That, like, Eagle Moss, large, gigantic model of a Starfury. That thing was dope. I want one of those. 100% want one of those. It looks so good. So good. Also, and this I thought was really, really smart. One of the things I noticed in that opening scene between Ivanova and Sheridan when they were in the war room chamber was particularly Ivanova, but both of them sounded very echoey. Very echoey. And typically I would look at something like that as a sound guy and be like, you screwed up your sound mixing there. You were recording, your microphone was too far away. It was just not good. Because I've seen that in TV shows before. Like, your mixing was just awful here. And then I realized you're trying to get across the idea of this big empty room. It should be echoing. You don't have anybody in there soaking up sound. And that went from a mistake to like, no. That's a well thought through little detail that I loved.
Yeah.
Loved, especially as a sound guy. I really loved that little bit. This too. You and I were having a conversation last week about how much revenue does Earth really provide to the station? And
apparently a bunch.
Well, but maybe not, Jeff. Maybe not. Let's say it's a small percent, 5, 10, maybe even 15%. Okay, you want to go to 20? Okay, let's go to 20. But let's say it's less than that. Let's say it's 10, 15%. Okay. Would you think that that's a reasonable amount of revenue from Earth to the Babylon 5 station? 10, 20%?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. If you're an organization whose head is just getting above water and you lose 10% of your revenue,
you're dead.
And that's what Ivanova was feeling. But are you really dead? Because it's only 10%. And what's Sheridan say? Hey, we'll get through it. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Hey, we just lost 80% of our stuff. There's no way I'm going to financially recover from this. Like, no, listen, it's a shortfall. It's not that big of a gap, but it's a significant gap.
Yeah.
Especially when we're just right here.
And I don't know what their operating costs are, right? What kind of margins they're running off of or whatever. But what I know is Ivanova is playing that role correctly as the second, as the first officer, whatever, the deputy, however you want to phrase it, the vice, the senior vice. That's her job.
Right.
Look at this. We're running in the red. This is not good. This is a big situation. But Sheridan, again, stepping into that leadership role. He's like, yeah, that's a big deal. But we're going to be fine. Yeah. We're fine. We'll do something about it. It's not a big deal. No one's the people that will foreclose on us are actively running a propaganda campaign against us. Like, right. We'll just ride this one out.
Right. Well, I mean, they still have to pay their employees and stuff because they have not gotten above money at this particular part in the future.
Right. Yeah. And we saw back in By Any Means Necessary that's still a very, very contentious thing.
And we haven't seen anything about it since.
Apparently Sheridan's running a tight ship. They're
Sinclair fixed it. There you go. Sheridan says this line, this place has been declared dead more times than Lazarus. For the record, Lazarus would have been declared dead twice.
Yep.
Twice total. Once before he got brought back to life, and then the second time when he actually died and stayed dead. So twice.
That's still a lot. That's still more than most.
Sure.
So.
Listen. The opening scene with Zach and the news crew before we found out they were a news crew was ball. I mean, Ivanova goes, listen, I'm really glad we put him in here. We haven't had a major incident since he became the chief. And you're like, okay, that's famous last words, right?
Right.
And they go in and he pulls out the gun and aims it. And obviously he shoots the crate and he's like, wow, good shooting, chief. And here's Jeff Conway doing his best Clint Eastwood. I mean, total Clint Eastwood impression. Like, don't say that until you know what I was shooting at, boy.
So good. And then he mugs so big for the camera. As soon as that little camera floats out, you know what I thought when that thing started floating out? This will be a way back for people.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the movie? I think it came out in 1985, maybe 86, but called Batteries Not Included.
Yes. It was a little, yes.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's that little thing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, it's a camera. And then he just gives that big muggy smile. And I'm like, God, he's awesome.
Yep. Good stuff. And then later, this is a top 3 Ivanova moment of the entire series. The whole series. When she brings Sheridan in to meet Dan, and they're talking about tossing him out the airlock. And Sheridan just goes in like, he's like, did you really tell him you were going to throw him by his collar out of the airlock? And she just immediately goes sheepish. Like, she was in on it the whole time. She's like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's like, what are you doing? We have the resource shortage. We have got to take those clothes before you throw them out. He's like, we would have stripped you naked and thrown you out there.
Right. They've done that bit, right? Like, that's a bit they've done a couple of times, and they just rocked right into it.
Right.
It was cool to see, though, because I think that Ivanova hasn't had the bite that she used to have, and this was like a moment like of having that again. And it makes sense, right? She's been in existential crises for a long time. She has that maturity of command now, and so maybe she's lost a little of that bite, but nope, it's still there. She just needs the right stage to play it on. So it was cool to see that again.
You mentioned earlier Garibaldi. So good to see him doing his thing.
Yeah,
that was Garibaldi at his best. He could make this a legit business, although he was shady as hell when he came down. Look, I'll find this for you, but I want 50% whatever you put in it. That's not, he's not serving justice. He's not whatever. No. This dude's extorting people. By the way, I don't know who that actor was. He kind of looked like a Tellarite to me.
Really?
Yeah, like put him in makeup and he looked like a Tellarite. I was like, what in the world? You can go ahead and buzz me because you let me get away with one earlier, by the way, and I'm not going to tell you what.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. So no, don't buzz me now. You missed it. But you know who I actually thought would be really good in that role? Dom DeLuise.
Yes.
That was
I had that whole thought.
That would have been so cool. Jeff, there is an episode of Stargate SG-1. It's just one episode where Dom DeLuise shows up. You are going to love that episode. He's so good. And the thing is like his kid is one of the like writers and creative consultants on the show. So it's really much like he went and got his dad to come on the show.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Good. So good.
This guy was great though. I'm like, this is totally,
him. But Dom DeLuise would have just
taken
that to it. He would have David Wernered that particular scene. Yeah,
I went so far as to look this dude up because I'm like, this guy's great. He hasn't done anything really. Like this was but yeah, it's perfect for this. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how he was like getting himself, and then Garibaldi's like, here.
Right. Right.
You can go ahead and keep sweating. That's fine.
Right. Okay. Lanier and the drone in the elevator.
That's pretty fun.
It was so funny. Did you notice the girl right behind Lanier's, I guess it would have been his right shoulder? She was doing it on purpose.
Yeah. She kept kind of looking.
But did you see the guy in the middle? Like he kept looking at her. Like they were. Go back, if you didn't do it, go back and rewatch that scene and watch the people behind Lanier and Dan. Because they're having a whole conversation between themselves. And you see her like on her pad, like go, and the drone like hits him in the head. And she just smiles. The other guy smiles. And it's so good.
And then my favorite part of that scene though was when he like smacks it and then the elevator doors shut with it still in the elevator. Right? He's like, yeah, you're funny. Now you don't have a camera. There you go.
That was really
one of the big themes that they talked about, Dr. Franklin brought up throughout the thing, and then they used it against him in the thing, but it was the cryo freeze stuff going on.
Yep.
So this is the second episode in a row that we've addressed this. My thought is we're going to get to a point where they can't maintain the power for all of these cryo things, and they're going to start making some tough decisions, which is going to give them a bargaining chip with Bester. I don't know what that'll look like, but they're going to be like, hey, we got to let 30 of these people cut them loose. If you don't want Carolyn to be one of them, this is a thing we need. Did you notice that
her name was the one that was shown on the news feed?
Yeah.
It was her pod specifically that we saw.
And I think that was on purpose as well, to let the Psychops want Bester to know that they know all the cards that are on the table. Like I can see a real crisis coming up for Bester here pretty soon.
It'll be interesting when we get through whatever this arc is that they're building to come back to this episode and analyze that 15 minutes of a newscast and see what all got worked in and
From
what they
that.
did. Yeah. Like stuff that we just gloss over right now in this moment.
So what do you think the end game is for Earth in this? Like, they're going to take Babylon 5 off the board. Okay.
Yeah. I think
Will
they're
they let
coming to attack Babylon 5.
Yeah.
I very clearly, I think they're coming to attack Babylon 5. And they're trying to... I don't even know that they're going to try to keep... Like, I think they want to just shut Babylon 5 down altogether, destroy... They want to blow the whole damn thing up and do bad stuff.
Do you think that's about cutting off ties with the alien rate and kind of going isolationist?
No, I think it's about revenge for walking away. That's all I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's, look, you left us and we're going to go on revenge. I do think, though, Jeff, I have a theory. Get the corkboard back out, baby. It's been put away for a while. I think Babylon 5 is going to form some sort of an alliance with the Mars Resistance. I'm hoping they fulfill the Bester piece at some point because they really dropped the ball on that during the Vorlon Shadow War.
Big time.
But I think, Bester's going to come in. I still want to see Bester. I want him to be the anti-hero. I don't want him to turn into a good guy, but I do want him to be sympathetic and be on the good side, just be a bad guy. If that makes sense. Like, he's not a villain as much as just anti-hero. That's the correct term. But I think Earth is going to join that with Mars, and I think Bester's going to be there. Maybe we'll see a couple of other pieces, but we haven't really, like, there's Proxima 3. There's a couple, we don't know anything about any of those guys.
Except 14 colonies, I think they said, back in and now for a word or something like that. 14 or 16 or
and
something
maybe
like that.
we're going to bring them into this whole deal, and we're going to have this big Earth Babylon 5 conflict where they're going to have to go. It's, what we're in right now, Jeff. This is the scourging of the Shire.
Yes.
That's the spot where we're in right now. It's the scourging of the Shire. It's going to wind up with Clark gone, and I don't know who they're going to set up as the new president after him, but everything will be just fine. I still say Babylon 5 does not return to Earth control. I think they will, and I don't think they should. They should maintain their independence and truly follow their mission of being the last best hope for peace.
Yeah, or become something bigger. Maybe even Earth ends up joining this thing. I mean, this was part of my prediction for this whole 4th season, is that Babylon 5 would become the focal point of some alliance of doing these things. But maybe, just for all of my Orville fans out there, maybe they bring Earth into this alliance. Sheridan becomes the president of Earth. Somebody else becomes the head, maybe Ivanova, of Babylon 5. But, Bruce Boxleitner as president is a role he fell very comfortably into for the Union on the Orville. So that'd be kind of a cool little nostalgic moment for me. Forward nostalgia.
I don't see Sheridan becoming a president.
No. I didn't see Archer becoming one either. Other than like kind of, but
that's I don't see Sheridan becoming a president. Not of Earth. Here's the deal. You know where I think he could be a president? If Babylon 5 in like constitutionalizes, becomes a nation, becomes a thing, he could become the president, not the commander, not the captain anymore. He's the president. I could see that happening. I don't necessarily see him ever going back to Earth.
Yeah.
I could see, who I could see is I could see someone like Ivanova going back to Earth as a president or something.
That'd be cool, especially if she had more than one chin, because then we'd have real questions about her character. Do you think, though, that they have a play towards the Minbari? on this. Back in And Now for a Word, the senator guy kept saying that we've got weaponry now where we feel like we could go toe-to-toe with the Minbari if this came up again. And then this news piece like really painted them as public enemy number one. Like aliens in general, but specifically the Minbari.
Yeah.
Do you think they've got an eye for like reigniting the Earth Minbari war?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you want to know why? And this may start getting a little bit into the messages piece, Jeff, if we're there and we want to make that transition. But we have seen this play out on Earth in our own time within the last several presidents. You know, the best way to get people to come together and rally behind a particular cause or a particular person is to create an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them an enemy and you say, it's those guys over there, that's the enemy. They're coming for you. They're coming to attack you. Whether you're the Russians saying that it's the Ukrainians, or the Ukraine saying it's the Russians, or whether you're a Republican saying it's the Democrats, they're trying to take over, or you're a Democrat saying, oh, the Republicans are. When you group people together and you spew, they're coming to get you. They're coming to war. You got to stand up. You got to fight. You got to, like, anytime you do that, that's how you rally people. You got to give them an enemy that is bigger than themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, that's how Star Trek got Earth to unite. Was when we found out that there was more people out there, we put away our silliness here. And we were able to unite and come together and do something here on Earth because we suddenly were worried about the bigger thing out there. And we realized real quick, it wasn't just the Vulcans. It was a bunch of other people out there. And let's face it, the Vulcans weren't really very friendly for those first bunch of hundreds of years, as we saw in Enterprise. So, yeah, I think there's absolutely a play to be made on the Minbari. And I think it's 100% in. That's the enemy. This is what's going to get people to rally behind me as President Clark. And that's what he's doing.
I also think that they have an ace up their sleeves. I think they have a shadow ship.
Ooh.
And I think that they've still got like a Psi-Corps person plugged into it. And so
or is that why they need the cryopods?
Oh, yes. Right. Because we got this thing. We need to make sure we got pilots plugged in. They've got the gear already installed, but we're going to go up against the Minbari. We've got upgraded weapons. We can do that, but we also have this just juggernaut hulk of a ship where we can go and take him out. So I feel like when he lost his support of the Shadows after the Battle of Coriolis 6, there's a moment of panic. He put down the whole thing. He wants revenge on Babylon 5. He wants revenge on Mars. He wants all that, but also Now I'm backed into a corner. I don't have my gang with me, but I got one big gun.
Do they know that Psi people hurt the shadow ship? And is it weak spot?
So.
I mean,
I don't think they do.
Because seriously, what we've seen is all you got to do is throw lead on the bridge, and we'll take care of that shadow ship real quick. We know how to deal. It's not that big of a threat, folks. It's really not.
This is Bester's anti-hero moment when President Clark and his crew are behind a shadow vessel. It's going to take him out, and Bester's like, nope.
No, you're not.
And he takes it out.
Pain!
Exactly. Well, Brent, you mentioned it, but I think we are totally there. We've reached the part of the show where we boil this down and we look to see what kind of morals, messages this episode has, if it's holding up a mirror to society or maybe giving us hope that life will be better in the future. I don't think that's the point of this one. But you're going to do that, Brent, by rating this episode on a scale of 0 to 5 Delta Furies to see how strong the message is and just how Babylon 5 it was delivered.
Yeah, Jeff, this is one of those episodes where I think you could pull stuff just by the nature of the episode. You could pull the mirror to society because this is media. Can you trust the media? You can go through that whole deal. What is a journalist? What goes through? You could pull that. Was that the intent of this episode? Was this JMS getting pissed off at Fox News back in the 90s and saying, I'm going to put these people like what, or what was it? Or was he pissed off at CNN? I don't know who he watches. Like, was it that, or is this really just, no, I'm writing a story and this is because didn't he come up with the story in like 88 or the 80s or something like that? Like he had it for a long time. Let's assume this was a part of the original plan to go with this particular type of episode. So but I don't look at this episode and see any big moral thrust. There is this great line between Sheridan and Delenn when they're on the couch doing the interview, where she says, the heart doesn't recognize boundaries on a map. The heart does what the heart does. Cool message, cool one-liner. Was it the thrust of the episode? No. Can I give it some points for it? Maybe a little, not a ton. Last week, I mentioned that the episode was, instead of the big cannon shot to the heart, it was just little pebbles thrown at you. If this thing has any Star Trek messages done in a Babylon 5 way, there's this little pebble and that little pebble, and it's not much. There's really just not a ton here. Like I said, I do think you could dig it out if you really looked at it, but I'm more interested, I think, in the ones that JMS is intentionally putting on to the screen. So I'm going to give this one Delta Fury, because I do think there's just a couple of little things that you could throw, but it's really not much. I'm going with 1 Delta Fury.
Yeah, I can totally see that. The one theme in it that I thought was interesting that spoke to me, we've talked about it before, specifically around the Minbari and then some of the early Home Guard stuff, but there's that racial purity theme that comes up, and they started hitting on in this, well, she's some sort of half-breed hybrid sort of a thing, and he's under their spell. Like when the psychologist was talking about all that stuff being under their spell, it reminded me of what I have read. I didn't experience this myself, but when interracial marriage started becoming more of a upfront issue, people would talk about how, these black men are putting these white women under their spell. They're feeling bad for them or whatever. And so, I mean, we should feel bad for these poor white women that don't have, any, say in what's happening to them. I heard a lot of that in this. Again, it was not the through line of this episode. It might be a through line of part of this arc that we're heading into. But I thought that was just an important thing to call out in this. But yeah, I 1 Delta Fury. It's that's about where I was.
And you're absolutely right. They may come back and touch on this later. And this may be the nature of where Trek has so often been more episodic. They can talk about an issue. They actually, like, through the course of the episode, they discuss the issue. They look at it from both sides. Sometimes they give you the answer and knock you over the head with it. Sometimes they don't, and they just sort of leave it out there and let you decide what you think and where you are and how to grapple with it. If this episode brought anything up, it didn't examine it. It didn't go through it. It's just like hey, there's that. Hey, there's that. You could possibly pull this out. And I think that's a real neat one that you entered, that you brought up there. I didn't make that connection at all. And I'm glad you did, because that certainly is something to be made. There really was this pushing of, I mean, he was using that spell, to almost defend Sheridan and still cast the Minbari in an awful light. And again, if he was somehow subverting that, what did he prevent? What did they want to say, and what did he prevent from happening?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's assume he's actually on the good side here.
Imagine how far they would have gone.
Yeah. That's a question we may not ever actually get the answer to. Well, Jeff, with that, I've done Delta Furies, or Delta Fury. You, my friend, however, get to rank this episode and place this within our absolute 100% completely accurate definitive ranking of season 4 of Babylon 5. So, Jeff, where are you placing the Illusion of Truth? Our top 5 currently are Into the Fire, The Long Night, Whatever Happened to Mr. Garibaldi, The Summoning, and Hour of the Wolf. Is this cracking our top 5?
This isn't a top 5. for me. My question is where it goes in relation to falling toward apotheosis. I'm going to put this above Epiphanies. I'll just say that. And it's, again, Epiphanies was not a bad episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one just, like I said, this was the grout that's going to go in, and it really filled in a lot of the holes in the Earth storyline. Falling toward apotheosis, I'm stuck in this place where I still, in the canon of Babylon 5 that we know so far, I'm more into these Earth storylines than I am all the Shadow, Vorlon, First One stuff. There's holes in that storyline we talked about a little bit already, and just stuff I still don't fully understand. This Earth stuff, I understand this, right? Like, this is important storytelling for here and now. And I think based on that, I am going to make this the new number 6. I'm going to put it right above falling toward apotheosis.
I like it. I like it a lot. I was actually kind of like, there's a piece of me I wanted you to put it under apotheosis, because like, what if the rest of the season was just like each episode keeps getting placed like right above the one before it, and it pushes everything else down? Like,
we just kind of like all the ranking are the different arcs of the season.
Yeah. Although I got to tell you, I think if the Hour of the Wolf and maybe even the Summoning stayed in the top 5 by the end of the season, I'd be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
They were fine episodes. Are they top 5 of a season? I don't think so.
Given what we saw,
whatever happened to Mr. Garibaldi, I'm not sure. I think Into the Fire and Long Night both could be top 5 episodes, but I don't know about these other 3. I
think those 2 could be top 5 Babylon 5 episodes, right?
Oh, Into the Fire and Long Night.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Brent, that's it for the Illusion of Truth. Next week, we're watching Atonement for the first time. Now, some of you are listening or you're watching, you're saying, but Brent, but Jeff, the movies. This is where the movies start. You got to watch the movie next. Yes, this is where they start. This is where they fit in. We understand that. We're going to hold the movies till after the series run.
We made an executive decision. And frankly, listen, we love all of you guys. We appreciate all of your inputs. Jeff, if I may jump in and just beg people, save your emails, save your comments. It's not, we have made this decision. We're not going to change. Like, we love you. Thank you so much for your passion, how things should be viewed. We've made the decision to watch the series first and to go with that order.
Yep. So that means next week we're going to watch Atonement. We like to play this game. Brent talked about it earlier in the episode where we only know the title. That's it. And we'd like to guess what the next episode is going to be about. Brent, it's time. Make your prediction. What's Atonement going to be about?
Is there any way that this is Jakar and Londo and somehow Londo atoning for his sins?
Wow, I think it's way too soon for that.
I agree. I don't think that can happen in a single episode, you know? So I'm going to go with Marcus, a guy we haven't seen a whole lot from this season, but he is still in the opening credits. I think it's going to be revealed Marcus has some sort of demons from his past. Maybe before he became a ranger, after he became a ranger, you know, and it's going to be maybe even exploring Marcus's past, maybe what he did on Earth before he became a ranger, or that whole situation. And I think it's going to be Marcus focused and something from his past. What do you think?
I'm going to keep guessing this until it happens, but we're going to finally figure out what Garibaldi's deal is. We're going to get more of that, but I think where the atonement part is going to come in, I think we're going to advance this Earth Minbari thing, and I think the Earth Force is going to send. This is going to be similar to the episode last season that the title is eluding me at the time, but where some Earth Force people come on board. It was Night Watch then. The Earth Force people are going to come on to try to abduct Delenn. They are going to put her in a situation for her to atone for influencing Sheridan in Babylon 5.
Ooh. Interesting. And
why not go right up for the dragon's head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you thinking like that's, is that Earth Force sending military people in, or are these civilians acting on their own cognition based on this news report they
Ooh.
just watched.
So I was thinking like military sort of people, but I like that idea, taking it to the next level. Oof.
They're just ordinary people storming in. Yeah.
Yep. Doing their part, right? They're good earth people. Going to do their part. But we're going to find out what happens on Atonement right here next week. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please leave us a rating, a review. We'll read it here on the podcast. And take just a moment. Go hit that share button. Share this podcast with someone who will enjoy it. Someone watching Babylon 5 for the first time, or someone who wants to relive it once again. So Brent, until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey man, what's up?
Hey, did you get them?
What?
The clothes off that dude before you spaced him?
In Valen's name.
I mean, we're not some deep space franchise. This station is about something.
Jeff, you know one of my favorite parts of this time of year?
What's that?
Parent
The food?
tax. Parent tax.
Right?
Kids Halloween candy. I got to look through it, guys. I got to make sure there's no needles or razors or anything in there. Come on.
It's a good life lesson. Also, for everyone watching out there has never been a razor or a needle. That's a made-up thing. Just teach your kid about taxes. It's a great way to teach about taxes. And that's a real thing. It's a little more dangerous than razor blades and needles. Actually.
Yeah, one of my favorite things. My wife gets so mad at me every time I do it. But have you seen those like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and those guys where they say, video yourself telling your kids that you ate all of their Halloween candy from the night before and see what the reaction is? Oh, I used to do that, and she got so mad at me. Don't you do that to our kids?
That's a thing. In 20 years, they're going to be talking to someone about that they have to pay by the hour, and hopefully their medical insurance covers.
We're not going to have medical insurance by then.
Yeah, the way we're going. Brent, we're in Club 65.
Oh, this is Club 65.
And you had a thing you wanted to bring up.
I did. So I forget which episode it was. Somebody made a comment and it got me thinking about something. Way back in the episode Chrysalis.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm going back. I'm going way back. Minbari Delenn, full Minbari Delenn, goes to Kosh right before she does the Chrysalis thing and says, I need to be sure. And he exposes himself to her.
That he does.
Okay. Now, we now know that what people saw when they look at Kosh was their god, right? And she goes, okay, cool, I'm good. Time to go back. When Kosh exposed himself to everybody to go save Sheridan at the end of season 2, right? That was the season 2 finale, right?
Yep.
And everybody's like, hey, what did you see? What did you see? Actually, this is probably in season 3, at the beginning of season 3. What'd you see? What'd you see? What'd you see? It got to Delenn, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically she saw Valen. Right? I think she did. Go with me. Just go with me that she saw Valen.
I'll go with you. I'm just trying to remember the name of the deity that they saw. Was it because Valen, in the parlance of it is, Valen would have been the prophet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Valen would be the Jaquan to Jalon, to whoever their deity is. I forget his name. So there's someone, but it could have been Valen.
Okay.
That would make sense to me if it was Valen.
I think it was Valen. Assume with me it was Valen for the sake of this argument.
We'll play, yeah.
Anybody out there in Club 65, if it was not Valen, go ahead and drop a comment. I'd love to know because
unless they tell us later. If they tell us later, don't tell us anything.
Yeah, if Delenn said I saw someone and that person's name was not Valen, tell me. If they didn't tell us and they're going to tell us later, then don't tell me. But let's assume it was Valen because this recolors everything for me. We now know that Valen was Sinclair turned into
spoiler
Minbari
alert
form.
for anybody out there.
If you're watching Club 65 at this point, you know already. Did Delenn when she looked at Kosh back in Chrysalis, see Valen and recognize Jeffrey Sinclair as Valen. And when she looked at him, she went, I know him. He obviously goes back and becomes Valen. This is now my time to go turn into the Half Minbari to put this thing right. And that's how she knew, because they kept saying, well, how do you know it's you? Why is it you? And she's like, it's supposed to be me. How did she know? Because she saw Sinclair as Valen back when she looked at Kosh.
Yeah, she's the one who knew Valen,
Yeah.
or knew Sinclair, so she
Right.
could do that.
Right. And so this wasn't an act of faith on her part. This was an act of like, no, I just know. Well, how do you know? I can't really tell you, but I know.
Where I can back you up on her seeing Valen is, it's not necessarily that you see the Vorlon and you see your god. You see who it is you want to see, right? Sort of a thing. Like,
okay.
That tends to be your belief, sort of a thing. And so in her head, she's like, I believe in Valen. I believe in these things. And so that's what Kosh was able to present to her. We also know, or at least have been led to believe, I think, that Kosh and Valen were buddies. Back in the 1,000 years ago time.
Really? I don't think I picked up on that. But okay.
I think it was in the Lorien stuff that some of that came up. Maybe I don't remember, but it seems like we, or maybe we just thought that because they had the Koshes with Valen when he showed up on Minbar.
I just want to know why it was Kosh Naranik who showed up as the image with the Vorlon and the shadow being teleported in. Like where he should.
Well, I want to finish your thought because I have a whole thing on the Vorlons actually now too. It just came to mind, but this might be a hot take, and some people might not like my opinion on this. I'm kind of on Naroon's side when it comes to Delenn. I think that she's very good at manipulating situations and taking advantage of things that come up. I don't think that she makes the sacrifices or takes things on the faith that I think at face value we're led to believe. I think she knows a lot more than she has ever let on. Brent, I think you've nailed it. I think in Chrysalis, she knew everything that's going to happen up to War Without End. Like in that moment.
It's possible. I'm just saying it recolors the whole thing, and particularly to me, it recolors the idea of Delenn doing stuff as a leap of faith, as a having faith that she should do it. She's like, I
know.
I saw the dude. Like I know that this is me. This is my time.
Yeah. Like, all the stuff around being the one.
Yeah.
Or one of the ones.
Yeah.
Really, it's not like, oh, me, it's this. And to me, it even repaints some of the Inquisitor stuff that, I took a tremendous amount of flack for my views on that. But excuse me if I hold like the potential leader of an entire race of people to a high standard. But also,
I still think you're out of line on that though. But whatever.
That's fine. That's a great thing. We can have those different opinions. But I think with this information, if we accept this information that she knew this already going into that interrogation, it wasn't her emerging as a better, stronger person. It was her getting frustrated that she knew a thing and she knew the Vorlons knew a thing. And so she's like, why don't you accept? Like, we all know the thing, Jack. Why aren't you doing the thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because it was for Sheridan, not her. You had to get to that spot.
Had to pull Sheridan because we had to, at the time we thought it was the ones, the two ones, but it turns out it was the three ones.
Yeah.
And she knew that all along.
Mm-hmm.
Totally see that.
Anyway, that's my Club 65 deal.
Well, I have a Vorlon question for you real quick that just came to mind.
Yeah.
So they had to go wild to kill Kosh too. Right, Lita had to trick him. They had to set him up in this thing, electroshock, pew, 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 for a long time. Then, like Kosh and Lorien and everybody had to get involved. Why didn't they just poison him, like they did to Kosh in the Gathering? Lita just has to be like, "Hey, just whoosh, slap it on," and then problem solved.
The more I think about it, the more the whole poisoning thing of Kosh in the Gathering doesn't make any sense at all. Because he was in an encounter suit. You didn't actually touch me.
Well, he whipped his hand out. He did actually pull, like we saw his glowy hand come out for a hand, which makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the part that I put at the end of the audio podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It makes so much sense now because when Kosh saw Sinclair, he knows the end of the story for him. He's like, "Oh, you're Valen. Cool. Hey, I'm going to extend my hand," and then boom, he gets the head-on thing put on his hand, and then is dead. He's all but dead if it weren't for Lita and Dr. Kyle coming in to save the day.
Right.
So why didn't they go that way with Kosh too? That would have been so much easier.
Do you think was it a Centauri? Do we know who actually did it? Was it a Centauri?
Minbari is a Minbari with a changeling net on them. They were trying to get the Vorlons, I think, to hate Sinclair because they were still upset over the Battle of the Line stuff.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you stick around Club 65. You get these little like trails that we think about that don't fit in the episode.
Right.
Or should have fit in. Mine should have fit in a couple weeks ago, but.
All right. There we go. Club 65, you guys are awesome. Drop 65 down in the comments somewhere so we know that you were here. Jeff, let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
Dude, hour and 20. Let's go.
It's not bad.